Hello, aeronauts. It is me, Aaron James, your cute gay flounder, who loves all Disney, theatre and LGBT+ related stuff. I do like weird actions when I'm doing that bit and you don't even see it. Hi, so today's video is all about my favourite shows of 2018. So we're in 2019 now, so I'm expecting loads of new amazing shows. I mean, we've got Come From Away, Waitress, Dear Evan Hansen, coming across from the States. And then UK shows new, we've got 6 coming back. That doesn't work because this is all new stuff I haven't seen. Only Fools and Horses coming, which I don't know how I'm going to feel about it, but I used to love the show. 9 to 5's coming back, but I've already seen it. But hopefully there'll be like loads of new UK shows I'm going to see, and I've been seeing a lot more plays as well. And I kind of want to delve into more of the off-West End scene, because I got to see more than I expected last year, but this year I'm all for seeing those other stuff that could become major big blockbusters, but they're just starting out. I really want to watch a show from its humble beginnings to being a massive hype train and being like, yeah, I was there. But we're talking about 2018. I originally was going to do 5 plays and 5 musicals, but then I actually think I can do this in 5 and then do some like special mentions. I might do a 2-parter as a 1-parter though, so because I can't separate them. So my top show of the year of 2018 was The Inheritance. Yes, a play. The big musical boys picked a play, but for me The Inheritance is just like perfection on stage. So I watched it at the Young Vic on the closing day, and then I watched it at the Transfer and did both shows in the full day at the Noel Coward. And in both theatres I was a wreck. I was all teary-eyed crying just watching this story. A generation of American gay men reacting and showing how much the AIDS epidemic still affects people today. The differences between generations, but also the importance of being together as a community and the fact that things aren't over. There are still issues in the world, and I just think it brings so much, it makes you want to talk. Both times I went to see the show, I ended up talking to complete strangers I was sat with, talking about the world. Not even just about the show. We were talking about plot points and everything that was going on in the play, but in both parts, but also we were just talking about life and experiences. Like when I was at the Young Vic, I was sat with a guy who I was in the seat that his husband would have been sitting in, because I was doing a lucky dip. So that meant that I didn't know where I was going to be sitting for both shows because it was their final performance. And I just luckily ended up in an amazing seat, but also next to this guy who was from America. His husband couldn't make it, so that's why. And we just started talking about life and the differences between countries of growing up, but also the generation gap, like what he would have experienced compared to what I've experienced in my life as a gay man. And then I was in Noel Coward. It was me, a female playwright, and a gay man from Canada. I think it was Canada, and we were talking about what it was like in Canada with the AIDS epidemic and everything, and like what's going on in his life and then my life and then her life and like what we've all experienced. It made my heart just burst with the fact that it just makes people talk, and I saw everybody doing it, and I was just like, yes. And just, it was like a Netflix series. Every interval I was like, I don't want this interval, I just want part 2. I remember in between part 1 and part 2 I literally went to a theatre cafe and just sat there like, come on the time, come on the time, I want to be back in that theatre now. And I've never felt like that with a show when an interval's happening. Normally I like cherish my little interval time just to have a rest and get ready for the next half, but for The Inheritance I was like, I don't need this, I just want to watch it. This is like binge theatre, but of the highest quality and highest art form, and I so hope that it gets recorded or a TV series or a film or something comes from The Inheritance, because oh my gosh, it's just so important for people to watch it and react to it and understand how vital like the conversations that come from it are to make us reflect, and just how amazing the story is in general. There's so many twists and so much depth to it, and so much reflection on humanity and who we are, fatal flaws and etc. Yeah, so that's why I love The Inheritance. Rolling on to number 2 is Company. Company opened towards the end of last year, and it was a revival of Stephen Sondheim's Company. Realistically, I'd say it was a new production of kind of a new musical, like revitalising and I guess reviving. It's so different from the original that it's like a pseudo revival. But it's just amazing. I've seen it 3 times so far. Probably end up going again before it closes. I mean, originally the extension wasn't announced, so I thought I've got such a small amount of time to see this show that I just wanted to see it once, and that I could be able to say that I'd seen Patti LuPone perform live. Now I can say I've seen her perform live 3 times. But it's not even just Patti, it's Rosalie Craig just gives like the performance of a lifetime, and the role of Bobby just makes so much more sense as a female. I think especially in this day and age, you can understand the idea of this female who's career-minded is like focused on that, and it isn't focused about the fact that she needs to be married and stuff like that, but people putting that pressure on her and making her feel like she needs to settle down because she's hitting a certain age, and like the idea of her friendship group and how they flipped around certain characters, so Jenny and certain characters like that make a lot more sense now. The fact that Amy became Jamie, and I mean, I love the character of Amy in the original production, but wow, like as Jamie, there's just so much more. There's so many more levels to I'm not getting married today. It's just like you can understand this whole thing in his brain that he can finally get married, but then being absolutely petrified by that fact because it was never a thing before. Like he couldn't get married. He wouldn't legally be allowed to, and now he can, and that whole like, whoa, do I really want to marry this person? And I just kind of love that those extra layers. I feel like Marion Elliott has just like found so much more to this piece. I really hope that this version of Company is the version that is revived the most, that appears the most, is one that people choose, because honestly I think it just makes Company so much more. Rocking on in at number 3 is another play. It is A Monster Calls at the Old Vic. So this was on over the summer period, I think. It must have been, because then Sylvia opened. It was a stage adaptation of Patrick Ness's book, which was him finishing the idea, but was originally created by Sean O'Dowd, I think is the right name. It was just an incredible piece of theatre, and I really hope that it's acknowledged in the Olivier's coming up, because along with The Inheritance, I think it's one of the strongest plays that has appeared on the British stage this year as a new production. I think one of the most incredible things about A Monster Calls is the fact that it was devised by the company. I mean, they had a director and a visionary in charge, but the whole company created this production, and I saw it 3 times, and I saw the understudy for the mother twice. I saw the mother on the 3rd performance, but it's amazing. It was amazing to see how the understudy went on for the lead before they'd even opened, which is when they don't actually get any rehearsal time in their understudy tracks. But she was incredible. And it also proved the fact that blind casting works. As long as the talent's there, that's all that matters. That's all I'm going to say about the matter, because she was incredible, absolutely incredible. But I just loved it. Like the heart, I don't think I've cried that much, period, at any other show. I sobbed my heart out all 3 times without fail, and watched as this whole audience just broke. And when you went out, when I was leaving the theatre, you could just see people just stopping and just crying, or it suddenly hit them afterwards. I made a full video about Monster Calls. Everybody in somehow or some way has been affected by cancer, and the fact that a family member or somebody or a friend or just somebody important to them, it didn't need to be this massive spectacle. I think in a similar way, it kind of, there were so many comparisons that you could take from A Monster Calls and relate to Curious Incident of a Dog in the Nighttime, which has just gone back into the West End, in a way that sets aren't necessary. The fact that abstract sets or lack of set, you don't always need the realism. It lets your brain imagine. I personally love an abstract set, or a set that isn't just your the literal rooms. I prefer the idea that it makes you think and imagine what else is there, and that you're just seeing the rawness of the characters and the story that they're telling. And that's what I loved about it. And I just love the fact that it just was like so intimate. It felt so cathartic every time I saw it, and reflective of my own personal links to the issue, but also what I was feeling at that time. I really hope in some way that play will either come back, or there will be something for it, because it had such a short run. It could go down as a classic, as the novel has. So, number 4 is Six. So the new musical Six, it's done amazingly last year and this year. So last year it had some trial concerts at the Arts Theatre, then it went to the Edinburgh Fringe, did a tour, came to London for a season, then carried on its tour all the way up to Glasgow, where it finished the year, and now it is coming back to the West End because it did that well. And for a new British musical to do that well is just incredible. And the hype for Six, and the fact that everybody I know knows the lyrics. We're like massive fans of Six. I already know I'm going back to see it at least once. I will be seeing it more times. To explain it, it is the musical all about the 6 wives of Henry VIII, and how we all know them just as the rhyme. Divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived. And just for you tonight, we're divorced, beheaded. Anyhow, but the fact that we know them just for that, but not about the real women they were and who they were and what they stood for, and it's them taking control and taking the power and being like, this is us, we're not just wives. and it's just such a good show for female empowerment. The whole idea that bringing history and kind of making people want to know more about them, these female figures of history that we kind of pass by, that we should actually acknowledge. I think the cast just make the show, as well as the cleverness of the lyrics. The 6 girls and Grace, who was the standby, and now from January when they come back, there's 2 more girls coming in as standbys or alternates. It's just so good. It's like a 75-minute show. If you didn't know about the Edinburgh Fringe, all the shows are really short, so that you can, just like an hour and a half or something, so that you can be able to see as many shows as possible. It ended up actually being the perfect length for 6, because it works as this kind of musical concert, like the idea that the 6 wives are holding the concert as a competition to see who had it worse. They're battling and telling their stories, and they're all influenced by different famous musical divas. So Adele, Sia, Lily Allen, Ariana Grande, Emily Sandé. It's just amazing. And to round it up with number 5, it's probably one of the last shows that I saw in 2018, and it was Hadestown at the National Theatre. So I didn't really know much about Hadestown at all. I just knew there was a bit of hype around it for when it was going to Broadway this year for the Tony Awards, and I was like, ooh, what is this? I knew it was the same director of Great Comet, which I still haven't made my mind up about, but I was like, ooh, what is this? And then I'll just have a look, because I knew it was going to the National before going to Broadway. I'll just have a look what tickets are on the National, and there was a ticket for £15 in the 3rd row, and I was like, I'm having this, yes, to see a musical that's only here for a short run and going to America, and then who knows if or when it'll come back. Booked that ticket, and then didn't really think much. Then I think I listened to the cast albums like the day or 2 days before I went. Before that, I went on a tour of a National Theatre for an after hours. I was invited, and it was this amazing tour while shows were on, and we got to see like bits of the sets for Hadestown, and I was like, this looks amazing. I'm now even more excited, and I wanted to go to Hadestown without knowing anything about it, and I totally gave in and listened to the cast album because of seeing the set. I listened to the music and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, this cast recording, it's so my style, like New Orleans jazz mixed with musical theatre, that kind of singer-songwriter vibe that I love with Sarah Bareilles and like Ingrid Michaelson, who is doing The Notebook. I've never watched The Notebook, but she's making a musical version of it, and I love her, and she was in Great Comet as well, so I should give Great Comet more of a chance. Anyhow, then I went to the show, and I mean, I actually think I booked the ticket more because Eva Noblezada was in it, and she's queen, and oh my gosh, she was incredible. I also accidentally tweeted, well, I didn't accidentally, I tweeted in the interval how amazing she was. Then she replied, and I was like, and then I realised I was in the 3rd row, so I'd probably end up catching eyes with her, and I was like, oh. And I think I did, but I was like, I don't fanboy over many people at all. Oops. And it was just incredible. I think the fates make that show. Gloriana Tyree had been a fan of for ages because she was my Nala when I first saw The Lion King. Her voice is just incredible. She's the UK's answer to Heather Headley, and she just needs so much more love. And Carly Mercedes Dyer as well, because I've seen her in so many shows and didn't realise just how. I knew she was an amazing performer because I think I saw her in Rock of Ages, but yes. And they just make the whole show, as so does Andre de Shields as Hermes. It's like the kind of narrator to the show. There's just so much to it, and the reflections on political sense of now, and how actually the Greek mythology, you can make it still is very powerful now, Greek theatre, but just the set, the music, the styling of it, it's so ingenious. The harmonies just gave me so much life, and I'm a big harmony boy, so if you like harmonies, Hadestown is the one for you. And like that jazzy style. I just think it kind of was the show that, for me, feels like it's breaking a boundary. It's showing a new style of musical theatre. There's narrative, but then it's also very much like a concert. It kind of brings a lot of aspects, I guess, of Greek theatre. And I guess what Brecht kind of did later on is the idea of kind of being aware that these are actors in the role of, they're telling you a story, and they're making it very clear that they're telling you a story. Then you get lost in the story, and then at the end they remind you, this is a story. And the topic of why do we tell stories, and I think Hadestown really echoes and like forces you to realise why we tell stories. You'll need to look into Hadestown or listen to learn more. And I hope this is going to be a full cast recording, because most of the music that isn't on the cast recording is like the best incredible part. It's very hard to do like just a clear top 5, and there's loads of shows that I'd already seen that I went back to this year. Like, I think my obsession with Everybody's Talking About Jamie and Kinkovich just grew and grew, and I went to see Romantics Anonymous another 2 times in the start of the year and really wanted to come back. And like, I saw Sylvia 3 times when it's had some more time. it will be like the UK's equivalent to Hamilton. I think it's the sign of a perfect musical where it makes you want to do research about the topic, because that's the whole point. Theatre should make you think. Theatre should affect you. If it doesn't affect you, why do we need it? Because even if it's to entertain, it should make you think about those moments. Just my little thoughts. And there were so many other shows, like a real surprise one for me was The Band. I think it's a really good musical. I literally know I'm going to be kicking myself for some incredible shows. Like, I loved Nine Night. I thought it was a really good play. I thought Misty was really good. I saw a lot this year. But, well, last year. And this year, hopefully, I'll see some more incredible shows. I'm already down to see Hamilton, A Waitress and Six, and I think the Dr. Dolittle UK tour as well, so we'll get to see videos of those. But that is my best shows of 2018. Let me know down below what were yours, and subscribe to join the Aeronauts family. We're pretty cool, if I do say so myself. And that is all. I love you all. See you all soon. Bye bye, bye bye, bye bye, bye bye.